What's your best why should we hire you response? Story 1. The low sun of the late afternoon gave the quaint office an orangish-purplish hue. The hopeful candidate leaned back confidently and loosened his tie a bit to reinforce just how casually cool he was. He raised a fist to his mouth and burped just a little bit. Gotta make room for all the chugging and fugging he'll be doing in about 2 hours. The interviewer stared at him, wondering if he wasted half a day interviewing this freaking moron for a job. He didn't even need this guy to be a stellar candidate. He just needed a guy who can pack a box full of screws. But this guy, as undeniably cool as he was just not giving off the vibe of a hard worker. The boss signed, just about done with the entire process, and asked his last question, a real zinger. Why? The boss shook his head, knowing that this guy couldn't possibly give a good enough answer. Why should we hire you? The interviewer took his feet off the desk, spit out his gum, and put the wad in his suit coat pocket. He leaned forward with an eyebrow arched to the maximum human architude. Oh, you don't know? You haven't heard of it? The boss shook his head with boredom, going through the paces so this can all be done with. Well, I'll just have to show you. The interviewee smirked like a smug son of a gun. He threw his wraparound sunglasses over the boss's shoulder and into his basketball hoop trash can for a way downtown three-pointer. In the background, cheering of an invisible crowd faintly crept into the boss's ear. The interviewee cracked his knuckles and obnoxiously cleared his throat. Then he held his arms and legs out straight. With a few sharp exhales, he began straining to do something, but the boss couldn't understand what. A loud snap, like a raw chicken being spatted, ran through the tiny, dim office. The interviewee's arms and legs began to extract. Then more wet snapping and popping, and the guy's neck jammed into his torso. Open mouth and bug-eyed, the interviewee held a steady "ha" as his flesh crunched and squished, receding further and further into his body, until there was nothing but a round lump beneath the dress shirt and suit coat. The boss was astonished. Absolutely caveman sent to the future watching David Blaine float in the air as people on the street ran away scared for their lives. He was at a loss for words, studying trying to say anything, and trembling from the adrenaline pumping through his unhealthy heart. Hey, mind opening up the shirt? A cool as a cucumber salad with no dressing voice called out. The boss immediately got up and instinctively started clapping, before shaking that off and stumbling over to the interviewee's chair in stupor. He was still processing what he saw, already rehearsing how he was going to tell the story to his kids when he gets them for the next weekend. But his focus regained when he got that stuff open. Sitting there in that pile of clothes was a basketball-sized and shaped tight lump of human meat. Small stringy hairs dotted the skin here and there, but the ball was otherwise smooth as a new butt. Well, aside from the stretched flat human face, through those tight lips, though the condition had no effect on his manner of speech, the interviewee said, "Yep, I can turn myself into a human basketball. I bounce and everything." He smirked even smugger than before, and for good reason. The boss put his shaking hands on the ball man and felt the warm pulsing knife beneath. The experience very nearly arouses. You're hired. I have absolutely no idea what I just read, but I'm so glad that I did. That was art in its truest form and deserves every award available and then some. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing and totally true story. Story 2. It didn't work because for some reason they thought I jumped through all the hoops, dressed up nice and come all the way out here for the poop giggles and to be told by a dozen people, "Oh my god, is that you? I haven't seen you since you were so little. Tell your mom I said hi." They were hiring at the design company my mom was an on-off-site digitizer for. Later off after 22 years without so much as a warning. We're not bitter or anything. Anyway, before they shot themselves in the foot, they were hiring for another department. So I applied because I'd moved back to the area. I knew a lot of people and it paid a lot better than the barely above minimum wage job I was working at the time. Came for a second in-person interview. The first was over the phone, a tour of the massive expansion they'd just undertaken, and another pointless test. They asked that same question, and thinking I had it in the bag, I got overconfident. Well, y'all love my mom so much. I practically grew up here. I'm really excited to carry on the family legacy. They ain't never so much as called me back. They finally told my mom that they thought I was just playing around. I got my hair done for that BS. I was ticked off long before my mom tried to log in. Got a message to call her supervisor and learned over the phone that they were laying off almost everybody without warning. They bit off more than they could chew by buying out the warehouse they'd been renting a corner of, renovating it, adding an in-house gym, a room full of snack machines, and a game room, along with catered bi-monthly lunches for the entire staff. They were trying to modernize and they almost folded for it. I'm willing to bet they just didn't call you back because they knew how they screwed your mother over and didn't want any of that bad blood between you guys in the workplace. You know, because they know they messed up and they're cowards. Story 3. I had been employed at a bank doing what is known as the update. It was updating the bank's mainframe computer system from the day's banking so that everyone could just be posted and ready for the next day's work. I was the only one in the area who was ever hired for that job and could do it correctly. I quit the job to go back to school, and a couple years later, I was approached literally in the grocery store by my supervisor, who just straight up said, "If you ever want that job back, we're glad to have you." I needed a job, so I told her to put me down the next time the job was open. She told me it wouldn't be very long, and within a few days she was calling me and asking me to come in for an interview. There was no question from the time I walked in the door and went into the computer room. I looked at the computer terminal, which was basically the same. The function sheet, that is the checklist that we were supposed to use, was basically the same. They said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "When do I start?" They looked at each other and just said, "When would you like to start?" That's gonna feel so good to be the best in your area and wanted that much. What I really want to know is if the job was in total shambles without you or if they were managing to get by. Story 4. What can your company offer to make me want to work for you? I had an incredible recruiter, and she taught me to interview the company I was working for, where it was less about me convincing them I was worthy and them trying to convince me to accept the offer. It's important to show that you have standards and expectations that you expect the company to uphold. That question is such a loaded and powerful one that I think most everyone should use when they can. Story 5. Current company promised that they would help me grow into more senior roles during the interview, and every time I think I've reached the limits of my role, I bring up their promise and we discuss whether or not a promotion/raise is in line, and if it isn't, what I need to do and what they need to do to help me get there. That actually sounds like a pretty healthy workplace. Story 6. I often ask candidates what makes them a good candidate for the position. I want to make sure they understand what the role is, and how they can apply their skills, interests, and background to the position. In my opinion, the best answer to this question is one which demonstrates that you have a particular skill, or some special sauce that you can apply to the work or the team to make it better. Most jobs, even ones which require specialized skills, can be done by multiple people who have the needed skill set. What interesting or unique aspect can you personally provide that sets you apart? Individuality is your best ally in interviews almost every single time, so use that to your advantage. Story 7. If you lack experience, you say, my lack of experience also means I lack bad habits. And since I'm a quick learner, I will come to you with a clean slate. That will give you the chance to mold me into the exact type of employee you want on your team. Story 8. I once had a banker tell me a story about a former army captain interviewing for an investment position. They asked him why they should hire him. His answer was, I've killed people for $33K a year. What do you think I'm gonna do for a 6-figure job? He got the job. As he should, honestly. Story 9. One of the first jobs I ever had. Interviewing for a fast food place. I leaned in, looked him dead in the eye and said, because I'll be the best freaking employee you've ever hired. Nailed it. Worked there for over a year. They do say confidence is key. Story 10. Literally, a candidate once said, because I'm good, I know I'm good, I have the data to show I'm good, and based on this interview, you know I'm good too. And to be fair, she was and is. Story 11. I'm a big fan of money. I like it. I use it. I have a little. I keep it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I'd like to put more in that jar. That's where you come in. You didn't have to out your money stash hiding spot like that though. Story 12. I recently said because I'm a bad butt. To be transparent, it was for an internal position in another department, so I happen to know that it was the right kind of humor for the individual interviewing me. Story 13. You didn't come here to make a choice. You've already made it. You came here to try and understand why you made that choice. I'll be starting tomorrow with a little Jedi handwave to seal the deal. If that was me, all you'd have to do is a Jedi handwave and you'd be hired. Story 14. I went for an interview as a bagger in retail. When the manager asked me this question, I responded with, I've been pretending to care about people and their problems my entire life. Not only did I get the job, I made 30 cents more an hour than any other associate in the store. Apparently BS is expected. Story 15. I know there's a lot of people trying to be sarcastic or unique, but I always say something along the lines of that I have something to bring to the table. I'm a quick learner and I'm excited about being here. We all know what kind of answer they're looking for. If you want to be different or tough or special, sure, go for it. But they want to hear about your good qualities. They don't want to hear how snarky you can be. Yeah, sometimes it works, but only with the right people. Safe bet to just let them hear what you know they want to hear, especially if you really need that job. Story 16. I had a girlfriend who once got a job at a very young age, 22, at a major book publisher. By saying something to the effect of, I may not know how to do everything, but if you give me 20 minutes, I'll figure out how. I can see why she got the job. Story 17. Because I'm desperate. I need money, haven't eaten in 2 days, and most importantly, because you shouldn't be messing around with someone in my position while being at special sauce distance. I don't know if I can recommend this one. Story 18. I ask everyone something like this. Why should I hire you over another candidate? Reply, I can't think of a reason. Don't say that. Story 19. Because I take pride in whatever job I do, and I don't mind doing the jobs that everyone hates, like cleaning the bathroom or something. Story 20. Because I'll never give you up. Let you down, I'll never run around and hurt you. I'll never make you cry, say goodbye. Again, I'll never run around or desert you. Did I really just get rickrolled right now? Story 21. Why should you hire me? No, why should I work for you? I've got an MBA, a master's in being amazing. Story 22. A high midichlorian count I have. And state the powerhouse of the Force. That was a god-awful Yoda impression, and I am so sorry to everyone that had to listen to that. Story 23. I will reach into my pocket, pull out a note card that says, I'm always prepared. Story 24. Why should I work here? Edit. Obviously it depends on the job, but with certain fields and people, it might intrigue them at least. Story 25. When the other person says, I can lick my elbow, I hit him with rolling my stomach. Dang, now I'm jealous, I can't do either. Story 26. Because I am incredibly lazy, and that makes me very good at creating efficiencies and automating things. The laziest person will find the easiest way to get a job done. Story 27. Being a manager, you have a lot to worry about. Hire me and you can check that worry off your list. Now that's a good one. Story 29. Because you lack the backbone to decide for yourself, I'll start on Monday. Story 29. Because I'm the best goddamn burger flipper in Saginaw County, and this Wendy's can't afford not to hire me. Story 30. Because I need money and you need employees. Hired him on the spot. As you should. Story 31. You wouldn't have called me for the interview if you didn't think I could do the job. Story 32. You can't afford not to. Give him my pension for arson. The fear tactic is a great one. Story 33. To fulfill the prophecy of the chosen pizza delivery man. Story 34. For the same reason that this $100 bill is no more than 100 pennies. Story 35. I need beer money and this job is P-easy. Story 36. Because my wiener is small. I may use this one. Story 37. Do you really want to waste more of your time? Story 38. I know a guy who can get us donuts. Now how do you say no to that? Story 39. I'm armed and I'm desperate. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.